Jeff Satari, you're the Chief Marketing Officer at Arivia. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon in my time, early morning your time, for a discussion about where we are with the travel industry and some of the things that you do. So again, thanks for joining us, Jeff.
I appreciate the opportunity, Kevin.
Okay, Jeff, right. Can you tell us a little bit about Arivia, first of all? Let's get that out of the way, because I think it's interesting, because we talked on air just a moment before we went on air just a moment ago, and you said there'd been a rebrand. Now, what does the company do and how it helps other brands in the travel industry?
Yeah, Arivia is a travel technology company. So in the most simplistic language, what we do is we provide travel benefits to our clients' customers, or in our case, to our members. And so that typically can be a full suite of travel benefits, such as hotel, air, car, flights, and cruise. Or we also offer single components of travel. We've been in the travel business for 20 plus years, and specifically in cruise very successfully. And so it's not out of the ordinary for us to provide a cruise benefit to our clients who don't want to create a whole travel distribution platform for their particular members. So at the bottom line, we're about loyalty at the end of the day and getting people to travel or consume their travel benefits overall.
And there's a white label element to what you do, which I guess is part of providing the service to the clients that you have.
Yeah, one of the distinguishing marks of our organization is that we focus on closed user groups. And for those that may not be aware of what a closed user group is, it's essentially someone has a benefit that is not available to the general public. And usually they have to sign on or be part of a club, similar to organizations that like a Costco, for example, here in the United States.
Okay, so let's move on then. So, everyone's talking about the travel rebound. We're starting to experience it here in Europe. I think it's fully underway there in the US, and the recovery as it pertains to the travel industry. But what would you say, Jeff? What does that actually mean? And what can we do when we have so little control over external factors? Do we have to kind of put our hands up and just say what will be, or are there some tactics that we can deploy as an industry?
Yeah, well, I think the travel rebound is definitely happening. We saw a bit of it here in the United States back last year in June or July. We had the Delta variant and Omicron approach us over the end of the year, but we're starting to see now the recovery on its way. What it means to us as marketers, and especially at Arivia, is that since the COVID pandemic started, we really reshaped the way we communicated with the members and with our customers. We are as transparent as we could about different safety protocols. We increased the flexibility in our booking platform opportunities, such as ability to cancel or change flights or change their cruise or receive future cruise credits for future bookings. And what we've seen is that generally overall, the desire of people wanting to travel never waned. It was always something that I think actually was reinvigorated with the ability not to travel. And I know for myself, and I have 2 young daughters and my wife, and we have just been clamoring to get back out there and explore the world more. So as we go to market those opportunities, we're seeing a lot of opportunities for us to customize that messaging through different personalization and using data for us to provide a more, I think, more relevant user experience on our websites and in our call centers.
Data is at the heart of what Arivia does. So tell us, if you can then, Jeff, why is data so important when it changes so fast? I mean, when you mentioned Omicron, it was literally just a few weeks after everything had opened up in the US to say European travelers. I was able to go to our annual conference in November. Within weeks, everything had shut down again. So the data is almost, some might say, useless when things change so quickly. But, tell us then, why is it so important, and how can it help companies, let's say, kind of do a better job with connecting, just that very basic connection with their customers?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's about connecting with our members and providing them with offers and benefits that's most relevant to them. what's relevant to me at my stage of life is very different than, say, my mother-in-law or father-in-law. And so what we do today is we rely a lot on what they call zero-party data. So we typically are used to first-party data and second-party data. And now what we're seeing the trend move toward is this zero-party data. And what that is really, it's data that's directly provided by our members, knowing we're going to use that data to provide a more holistic and more targeted experience for them. So for example, we may ask a member what kind of cruise they like to take, what destinations they like, what their budget is, how many children they have, will they be traveling with themselves as a couple or a solo traveler, or are they traveling with a group? What times of year do they like to travel? So we collect all of this data from the members directly. And what I have seen happen over the last 2 or 3 years is that, and most of the research shows that most of our travelers, our members, they want a more customized experience overall. And they're willing to provide us with that data, providing we use it in a really good quality way. And what we have been able to do is transform our marketing from what used to be more spray and pray mentality, where we would just send millions of emails out and hope something sticks. Well, that is just so 20 years ago. What we're moving toward now is more customized and personalized and overall optimized user experience, not only on our websites, but in the type of marketing that we do. That could be direct mail marketing, that could be SMS or text message marketing, mobile wallets, and of course, overall general email marketing. And so at the end of the day, the members are really excited because they're getting more relevant offers, that they're not feeling that they're being inundated with emails that were or are completely irrelevant to them. And so they're more willing to provide data. And to your final point of why is it, you talked a little bit about how it changes so dramatically, so quickly. We don't really look at annual marketing plans anymore. That
okay, that's interesting.
is out the window. I mean, we do have an overall arching strategy, but when we think about tactically what we're doing them in almost what we call micro sprints. What's happening in the next 2 weeks? What's happened in the last 2 weeks? And we have to be real agile, because what we saw last year and even at the beginning of this year is we see little sprints of up and down demand, and we have to be able to react very quickly. So we've moved to a more agile marketing platform versus maybe the traditional one 20 years ago, where you simply just set your budget for radio and television and print, and you were just switching up some of the messaging. Now it can change on a dime.
Yeah, we all remember those days, don't we? But I mean, just as a follow up on that, I mean, you're talking about what you're doing, that you don't think about annual plans. Do you sense that travel brands are kind of up to speed with that? Because, you know, the tradition is September and October, we start looking at our marketing budget for the following year, and that's it. It's set in stone, kind of. But what you're proposing here, or what you're doing and suggesting is a good tactic to do, is perhaps against that kind of long-standing thinking around marketing.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, we have to do what is what is best for Arivia and for our members. And in the end, if we do what's great for our members, then Arivia wins, and all of our partners and clients win. So as we're seeing travel trends change, as we see people moving to more of some of these more remote locations, or maybe they're going into the city, maybe they're traveling closer to home, maybe they're going more international, that's changing every month. And so while we have a very solid annual marketing strategic plan, it's the tactics and how we're and when we're pushing those levers and when we're pulling back, because we saw it. We saw it at the summer of last year, and then we had Delta hit, and then it seemed like it was going to be recovery. So then we had to ramp up. Then we saw Omicron, and so then we had to change our marketing positioning and some of our messaging to focus more on safety and and potentially save now, travel later was one of our big messaging points, because they weren't thinking necessarily that they want to travel in the middle of this accelerated Omicron that came about. And so as we thought and strategically laid out our plan, we're thinking 6 to 9 months from now. We don't know. So we rely on the data. We rely on member feedback. We rely on what our clients are seeing with their particular customers. And we're taking all those different data points into all of our marketing technology that we have, and then be able to promote the right offers at the right time.
I quite like this question, because I'm curious as to what your answer is going to be. But, what do you know about your partner's customer behaviors that perhaps they do not know at the moment?
Sometimes more, interestingly enough. We do a really great job of finding out what people are doing on our site. So we have transactional data as far as where they're going and where they been, but it's really about the behavior of the user on the website. For example, going back to one of my original thoughts that I had shared with you is where are they looking to travel? How often are they coming to our site and asking about the most recent deals? Are they traveling with children or not? So we're measuring all these different data touch points through the entire user experience. How often they call in, where are they calling in from? And a lot of times when you take that data and you aggregate it and then you compare it against different lookalike audiences, you can create different unique profiles of our different customers and our members, of which we pass along to our clients, and they use it in their own marketing and in their own media purchases. So it's always a team effort between ourselves and our clients. Because in the end, we're representing them in all of our marketing that we do.
Let's change gears a little bit if we can, Jeff. I mean, how important is humanizing the online conversation, which is often what invariably happens these days? It's not an offline retail situation. So humanizing that conversation with the customers, and how does personalizing it affect loyalty?
I think it's a game changer. Overall personalization from a marketing perspective has absolutely changed the world. And the way we've been able to personalize as an industry is through technology. And the good news for us as marketers is technology is never going to get worse. It's only going to it's only going to get better. So we have nothing but blue skies to be able to fly into with our marketing technology on the marketing technology front. So using the data that we're collecting and creating a more personalized and humanized conversation is a game changer, because at the end of the day, it's about relationships. And what we have found is, generally speaking, there is not a lot of loyalty around who someone wants to use to book their travel. This is why there's so much money that's spent in trying to get someone to come to one site versus another site, because at the end of the day, usually price is the differentiator. And at Arivia, we're a closed user group. We're a membership group, so we know more about our customers than a traditional OTA, which is usually dealing with a fairly anonymous visitor to their site. For us, and from a closed user group perspective, there is a lot of business intelligence that we have, and overall behavioral and transactional data that we have on a member. And so we're having these conversations with members every single day and keeping track of what they like and what they don't like. And so if we can take that data and use it to personalize the conversation or humanize it by having more casual type speak in our language, in our emails or our direct mail, we have found that those have outperformed anything else that we do.
A really important part of personalization is segmentation. So I'm assuming you would agree with that. And talk to us a little bit about how that works, segmenting the kind of the data that you have of clients.
Yeah, segmentation is it's a marketer's dream, quite frankly, right now. It's something you speak of 20 years ago, we really didn't have, other than maybe you'd advertise on one cable station versus another. That was the length of it. So for segmentation, we're collecting data points all the time throughout the user experience, as I shared. And so we usually collect anywhere from 100 to 150 data points on a particular member's journey. Those different data points, all, through different algorithms and everything, we can put them into 300 different, what we call audiences, that are mirrored with certain offers that that audience we would feel would resonate with them specifically. And so segmentation is just critical for us, whether that's a recently retired military general, or a family of four on their first time cruise, or you can go, the list goes on and on and on. There's so many different types of travelers in this world. And we're continuing to define those as we speak through our segmentation. And those segmentation, we usually don't go down in creating segments. We usually are always expanding them, generally speaking, because we're learning new stuff about our members, or our members are sharing with us how they want to be communicated with differently.
How do you, just last point on this one, Jeff, I mean, how do you scale up personalization? Is it just more data, more segmentation, or are there other kind of tactics that you can deploy?
Well, the marketing technology front really allows us to do that. We're doing 3 times more with half the people we had before COVID. Because of automation. So more than 50% of all of our travel bookings that are tied to marketing are happening without human intervention. So what I mean is that we're using retargeting campaigns that are automated based on the behavior of the user, and then sending out emails or direct mail or text or mobile wallet alerts that prompt a particular offer because something that you may be doing on our site. We set that up, we set the algorithms in place to execute, and then we don't have to worry about that campaign anymore. And what that allows our marketers to do is to focus more strategically versus tactically. So that number continues to grow every single month as far as how many of our marketing attributable bookings are tied to marketing automation. So the answer to your question is that's how we scale it, through technology, because it would become unscalable if we had to have people added to our roster and our team to be able to execute those campaigns. It would become essentially unmanageable. And as we progress and use machine learning and artificial intelligence to tie into even more powerful ways to segment, those are other opportunities as well.
And that 50% figure is quite extraordinary, really. Thank you for sharing that. So last couple of minutes, if we can then, Jeff. I mean, everyone talks about focusing on strategic marketing. We should probably put that in inverted commas, because it's a buzzword and phrase that gets bandied around a lot. But what does that really mean? And I wonder if it speaks to possibly what you were saying before, when travel demand and receptivity during a pandemic environment are actually unpredictable.
Yeah, I think strategic marketing, the definition may have changed after this pandemic. So I mean, generally speaking, I think how we view it at Arivia, strategic marketing is are we meeting the member at the intersection of technology and travel? That's what we have to do. Meet them between the intersection of technology and travel. Our members, even though they're our members, are barraged by billions and billions and billions of dollars that are spent every day on digital marketing and performance marketing by our competitors and others in the space. And as I said, because there isn't traditionally a lot of loyalty to a particular brand, companies are moving more and more towards creating more brand loyalty. We do have a distinct advantage because they're a member of ours. And so we're strategically thinking, okay, where are our members in each of those different journeys? across their travel discovery, trying to figure out where they're going to travel. And an interesting research piece that I think most would be interested in is that even after someone goes to 8 or 9 different sites to purchase a hotel room, as an example, and they purchase it, they're done. They got through the hardest part of their journey. They've done their research. They still go to about 3 or 4 different sites after their purchase to ensure that they have the best deal on the planet. Right. And so the journey is never done. It traditionally, in a traditional retail space, you may spend, you get the customer, you sold them that nice suit, and they're done. You're done as a marketer. But in our world of travel, especially during a pandemic where cancellation policies are more relaxed and the flexibility is there, a person, a traveler may go to a competitor or another travel entity if they find it a little cheaper. And so it's always our mission to ensure that from starts to when they return home, that we're always on top of their minds and that they know that they got the best deal going through our travel platforms.
How does merchandising become an important part of marketing to drive more revenue to a travel brand?
I think it's another big differentiator. Generally speaking, merchandising is a powerful tool. If you think of direct mail and you think of email and if you even think of SMS and text and those different channels and specifically offline, they're not necessarily in market. We're trying to get them in market, or we're guessing if they're in market. Merchandising on our site is specifically speaking to a member that's already on our site and engaged with our brands and are actively looking for a vacation or a holiday. And so that's a prime opportunity to provide merchandising. And we focus around a lot of dynamic and personalized merchandising. So using the same tactics and strategies around creating these different audiences and giving specific offers or curated deals that our platform offers to our members on the sites. We do that through merchandising. So if you were to go on our site and if I were to go on our site, at the end of the day, we would want those experiences to be completely different and different automatically through marketing technology. So we're displaying different offers. So maybe for me, because I love cruising, there's 3 new cruise offers that show up. Maybe for you, it might be very different. So that's a really important part of our future. And I think overall is how do we personalize, humanize, and really automate that website merchandising so it's really powerful and it's prevalent in their face when they're on the website looking around.
And customers, there's always a lot of talk about it's the value of a trip, but at the end of the day, they're all about benefits and savings, right? So yes. How do you use your system's marketing technology to deliver relevant benefits and savings and create loyalty in the process? And I'm particularly keen because it's often closed user groups. So does that make any difference?
It does make a difference. Being part of a closed user group and our technology and what we do for our clients is we're offering a whole loyalty program. So it's not just simply about saving money. It's about getting great value, as you shared. I'll give you a prime example. I went to New York City about 2 years ago with my family. My kids, I think, were maybe 6 and 8 at the time. And I was able to, using our platform, save about $1,000 I think we were there for about 7 nights in the heart by Central Park. And well, because I saved that $1,000, I was sitting at a restaurant and we were looking through Broadway shows and The Lion King came up. And I was thinking to myself, it'd be really cool to have front row seats at The Lion King in New York City on Broadway. What could be better for my children and my family? And so this was like the hero dad in me, right? I was able to do that. And so I was able to get and spend that extra money on front row seats because I felt good that I had saved $1,000 on my trip using our platform. So that's what it is about, that what we do at Arivia. Because it's a closed user group, And we have all of these different verticals: hotel, car, air, flight, cruise, activities, stays, whatever it might be. There is more for us to offer a member than, say, maybe a traditional travel agency or whatever it might be, because they're members with us, and we can continue to deliver additional value throughout the course of the lifetime of that particular membership. So generally speaking, how do we travel more, live more with paying less? And that's really what we're always focused on, is creating that value. And sometimes the value is not saving the money, it's getting more for that money. So you could stay at a 5-star hotel versus a 4-star where you would have to stay if you were to book anywhere else.
Yeah. So bottom line then, Jeff, I mean, and congratulations on the hero dad move. That was pretty smart. But
that was 2 years ago. I have to make up for it now moving forward.
Maybe a lot of catching up. So
yes.
I mean, but bottom line, how can you help partners become better marketers to their customers? Is it just a combination of all the things that we've talked about, or are there any other specific things that you could bring in?
I think it's all of the above, everything that we've talked about. It's overall, it's better knowing the customer. It's having that voice with the customer, and humanizing and personalizing the travel relationship. It's having a world-class service call center in 9 different countries that can service anyone in the entire world. It's having these really unique curated offers that are not available to the general public, because we are a closed user group. We're able to curate these offers behind a login screen, and showcase offers that are not available to the general public. And then in the end, delivering these messaging touch points in a really relevant way helps our relationship with the member be long-standing and long-lasting, and overall customer satisfaction, member satisfaction is exactly where we want it to be, an A+ on our report card.
So last question then, Jeff. I mean, in your opinion, has the past 2 years fundamentally changed the travel industry, or will we go back as an industry to the tactics that we once deployed?
Hands down, it's completely changed the industry. I mean, think about it. We're able to change our flights now without penalty. That was unheard of going back 2 years ago, and it's not going. I don't think it can go back. It's just I think that the power is in the hands of the member now, and in the customer, and that's where I want it to be. That's where I think all want it to be, because in the end, we are all travelers. And so the pandemic, I think, has also accentuated the desire of travel. I joke with my family, like, what do you do? What do you do? I said, I remind people of the magic of travel. And when you think about magical experiences in your childhood, or with your significant other or families, a lot of those memories are around vacations and travel. And so at the end of the day, we still all have that in us to be explorers in this particular world. And while the pandemic may have slowed that down over the course of the last 2 years, I fully anticipate that the next 2 years will be an absolute record breaker for everyone in the travel industry. And I think definitely, especially for Arivia and all of our partners.
Okay, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Jeff. That's Jeff Sataris, the Chief Marketing Officer at Arivia. Thanks for joining us.